Hi, my name is Anya Isabella Isaacs and my Instagram is Anya_sketchbook. I am a sculptor and ceramicist. I create artworks and objects that translate and interpret historical narratives through their materiality and aesthetics, embodying stories of the past and present. Using elements of the absurd and the macabre, my practice is visceral and sometimes grotesque. I fuse ceramics with other materials such as bronze, textiles, paint, and even cosmetics to create multi-layered sculptures that tell complex and compelling stories. Now a bit about my pieces on display here today. Amalgamation of Time 1 and Amalgamation of Time 2. The work envisions the number of souls that found themselves entwined in the rich yet grim history of this fortress, the hundreds documented, and surely more so that never made their way into the records. Through God's House Tower's beginnings as a defensive post in the 13th century, through its life as a prison, subsequently a museum, now filled with art and people, flowing in and out of its walls as the tide does outside its doors, I found with all of this history, I wanted to create pieces that spoke to those who have stood where I am now over all those centuries, whose souls you can't help but feel linger in the old stones.
Tracy Dovey at Tracy Dovey Artist. I am an artist living on the edge of the New Forest. I use folklore, folk song, old customs, games and rituals to explore contemporary issues, particularly feminist and rural social and economic disparity. Country living can be a strange mix of bounty and hopelessness, but when people have access to their own strong and sinuous roots, their own history and stories, they have anchorage and hope. I seek the stories that connect us, and as an artist I'm thinking of different ways of pinning them onto the metaphorical village hall notice board for all to see. A Maiden's Garland. I've been making work for some time about coercive control and abusive relationships, and I have woven in my fascination with the old funeral custom of making virgins' crowns and maidens' garlands to mark the death of a village virgin to make a piece about FGM. Made in a traditional way with woven willow and ribbons and gloves, I have expanded this idea and included 7 small bronzes that I modelled from some scans of clitorises that remind me of precious fruit. My aim for the piece is to explore how far society will go in order to subdue the nature of women. FGM seems to be an extreme, literal manifestation of this patriarchal lunacy. I used text from 2 separate reports that are in the public domain to give voice to this horror story, but also wish to point out that it is the same trajectory that all policy that works to reduce women's agency is on, and has been on since the patriarchy first became dominant.
James Hewins. Instagram at caustic_bloom. I am a sculptor and rewilder. I run a rewilding project. Caustic Bloom, which aims to transform grasslands and verges across Southampton into wildflower areas to help encourage biodiversity in the city. Through this project, I aim to collaborate with artists, scientists, and local people to create a diverse, accessible, and informative project. My artistic practice explores the use of sourcing natural, waste, and found materials and explores themes of sci-fi, dystopia, ecology, and biomimicry. Installation title, Autopa. Sculpted vessels to house different bumblebee species in urban environments and deconstructible solitary bee habitats, all made from locally sourced clay or woodcrete with recycled sawdust and wildflower cuttings. Vibrating sculptures are a speculative interpretation of future biomechanical pollinator drones, envisioning a future where technological resources and investment are prioritized to preemptively replace declining pollinators, rather than investing in the prevention of habitat and wildlife loss. Planned obsolescence of wild pollinators, which would mean the source of seed, vegetable, and fruit reproduction can be controlled and monetized through pollination drones. Autopa is an installation of speculative futures and ecological intervention.
I'm Jude 1 8. of Zen Judaism at Zen Judaism. I am a guitarist and songwriter in Southampton, whose collaborative designer rock project Zen Judaism has been in existence for a decade now. The 3 albums that made in that time eschew expected rock band norms in an iconoclastic push to create songs that sonically express what needs to be emoted without concern for expected contiguity. As well as appearing in the themes of some songs, my desire for freedom has also manifested in the utilisation of A equals 432 Hz tuning. The Signal and Parasites in Ties. Recently, I've been collaborating with a new vocalist, Sarah Twist, in Zen Judaism live shows. So for Lucky Dip, I wanted to encapsulate that on record with a couple of new songs for a new single/double A side. The Signal was my musical composition, and the lyrics are by Sarah and myself. Parasites in Ties came about from a song structure I came up with some years back, and Sarah penned the lyrics to this one, expressing our collective disdain for self-serving politician types. For both songs, Hannah Aurora Black is on bass, and Anthony Beeling is on drums.
Miku Okita at Miku_Okita. I am a fashion artist working exclusively with paper, using origami techniques to create wearable forms. My interest in origami fashion began during my art foundation year at the University of Gloucestershire in 2005, where I was drawn to the striking geometry and the visual rhythm it created. My practice reimagines fashion as a sculptural expression, blending traditional paper folding methods with a contemporary approach to garment design and breathing new life into the craft. Positioned at the intersection of art and fashion, my work challenges ideas of what clothing can be when removed from fabric. Each piece plays with shape, movement, and impermanence, inviting viewers to consider garments beyond their functional form. A Quiet Rebellion. A Quiet Rebellion traces the beginnings of my origami clothing from traditional paper folding to the experiments and manipulations that shaped my approach to fashion. Although I create origami garments in my spare time, it has become a meaningful part of my creative life. The accompanying video shares the origins of this journey and reflects on heritage, family, and cultural identity. What began in quiet defiance after being told it wouldn't lead anywhere has grown into an ongoing exploration of form and self-expression.
Rebecca Johnson at Missy Macabre. I'm a circus artist and writer. I'm inspired by my multi-generational fairground heritage and have performed in over 22 different countries as a headlining act who specialises in rare fairground stunts, such as laying on beds of machetes and bathing in broken glass. Performing since 2006, I have worked for venues and clients such as the Barbican Centre in London, Milan Fashion Week, Paramount Pictures and Stockholm Opera House. I'm currently writing a book about showman culture, supported by the Arts Council England. These works are called Pleasurelands. Pleasurelands focuses on intergenerational memories from fairground life, my own experiences as a circus artist, and the passing down of personal and inherited lore. I grew up in an imaginary showland, immersed in my grandmother's tales of fairgrounds past. Showmen have existed in the UK for over 800 years, yet our stories remain relatively unknown.
My name is Laleh Ghavami. My Instagram is Laleh_Ghavami_art. I'm a multidisciplinary artist exploring identity, boundaries, and transformation. I create installations using wire, thread, and tactile materials, blending control and chance to shape organic, special drawings. I embrace both control and chance, creating spaces where ambiguity and ephemerality invite viewers to reflect on the unseen forces shaping our existence. My work navigates the tension between presence and absence, inviting quiet contemplation, and a deeper understanding of memory, resilience, and the intertwined fabric of individual existence. The title of my work is Existence Precedes Essence. My work dwells in the space between existence and essence, born from confronting the existential void of migration, when you belong neither to the past nor the present, suspended in the invisible space between who you were and who you have yet to become. The self, once forged through years of struggle, is severed from the ground that gave it meaning. In this liminal state, I embrace becoming over resolution, inhabiting the shifting edge between presence and absence. The work exists as a presence yet resists definition, inviting the viewer into a dialogue between what is and what might emerge. Thank you.
Jennifer Monteiro at monstudio.co. Jennifer Monteiro is an artist whose work explores identity and the experiences of marginalised communities, both collective and individual. Using collage as her main medium, she frames and reframes past experiences, allowing a tangible processing of trauma, systematic oppression, and the intersectionality of womanhood, queerness, and blackness. Believing in the transformative power of self-expression, Mon works closely with local communities and collectives, leading workshops and engaging with communities to foster creativity and connection. Retrato. Deeply intertwined with Portugal's colonial past lies Jennifer's identity, Brazilian, Cape Verdean, and Portuguese, each strand shaped by a history that still resists being fully grasped. Retrato emerges from that, a need to recognise this inheritance, confronting what came before, what exists around her today, and her reflection. The work centres her body and her presence, the only possession she can claim as fully her own, while simultaneously engaging with collective memory and visual legacies of empires.